Our next guest is, when we first went into We Teachers and said trauma-informed practice, how do we work with experts in this space? How do we partner with the best of the best? And so we contacted Mental Health America, and they've been a partner of ours ever since. And together we are doing some amazing, amazing resources for our teachers. So we couldn't be more proud of our partnership with Mental Health America. So our lead writer and our lead partner from Mental Health America is going to come up and tell you what is the trauma-informed practice program look like. And so you guys can actually understand how you can start using this and why you would be using this in the classroom. So let's roll a video to introduce our next guest.
Jessica Kennedy is a subject matter expert from Mental Health America. Mental Health America is the leading community-based nonprofit in the USA, dedicated to addressing the needs of those living with mental illness and promoting the overall mental health of all Americans. Their work is driven by our commitment to promote mental health as a critical part of our overall wellness, including prevention services for all, early identification and intervention for those at risk, integrated care, services, and supports for those who need it, with recovery as the main goal. Please help us in welcoming our friend and changemaker, Jessica Kennedy.
Thank you. The best part about speaking with the We Teachers program is I get to follow incredible speakers. It's also the hardest part. So I wanted to talk to you all today about the resources that we have put together. It's an incredible team. We're so honored that We Charity and We Teachers invited us to participate. And I just wanted to thank Walgreens for making this all possible again. So let's give them a big round of applause. So why did we want to get involved in trauma-informed practice and trauma-informed classrooms? Well, we're a mental health organization. We've been around for 100 years, and trauma is it's at the core of how we understand how mental health problems emerge. A lot of this started with a foundational research study called the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, or ACEs, as we call it for short. And it kind of tracked 3 types of trauma in children. So there's abuse, neglect, and then household challenges. So household challenges include something like having a parent who's incarcerated in jail or prison, or having a parent who has a mental illness or an addiction. And what they found is that pretty much for every single one of these experiences you had, your lifelong behavioral and general health outcomes were going to be worse. And this is how we understand early childhood trauma and the impacts on behavioral health. But there's tons of other trauma out there. I was just reading today a brand report from Morning Consult that says that Gen Z's, like the world event that frames their worldview the most is mass shootings. Not 9/11, like almost all the rest of us from America, but mass shootings. 6 in 10 US youth are exposed to violence in the past year. Trauma costs almost up to 1/3 of our total healthcare expenditures. Almost every single youth involved in the juvenile justice system has experienced some form of trauma. And it's related to lifelong problems, not just in mental health, but in all health. And so that's why we decided to partner with We Teachers and put together an introductory module and then modules on 5 related subjects. So the introductory module on trauma-informed classrooms is out, as is the mental well-being and bullying module. And releasing this year, we have diversity and inclusion, poverty, and violence. So each of the modules includes several components. So there's some framing things like essential questions and objectives and learning goals. And then we give context. So we'll give you facts, statistics, definitions. I love the what to do sections. They're very action oriented. So it's like what to do if you witness bullying. What to do if you think a student might have depression or anxiety. Then we have additional resources in learning and activities. And what's really special about We Teachers is some of these activities are activities you can take to your classroom, but some of these activities are for you as teachers. So the introductory module on trauma-informed classrooms has facts and statistics on trauma, explains the impact of trauma on development, goes over some definitions, and then it has trauma-informed approaches to trauma-informed classrooms, and then a section that I love on personal self-care. So an example of a section that we have in there is what are the keys to a trauma-informed classroom. So we'll get into detail on, what does it mean to increase predictability or develop clear rules for students or to model calm responses. The mental well-being module, that's Mental Health America, is kind of our bread and butter. So we're gonna start with understanding the issue with both common mental health challenges like grief and bereavement and conditions. And this is a very robust section with a lot of what to do. We heard a lot of great feedback at the summit. Then we talk about mental well-being in the classroom. And then of course, again, because We Teachers is about supporting teachers, we talk about the importance of your mental well-being. And then there's references and resources. And just so everybody knows, we are in a mental health crisis. Suicide rates are the highest they've been among youth since we started recording them. He talked earlier about, a 14-year-old coming to him. Half of all lifelong mental illness manifests by 14. 75% by the time someone's 24. And only half of the children with a mental health condition are going to receive any treatment. And 80% of them do not receive the services they need. So our module includes sections like how to support students who struggle, to talk about thinking with a trauma-informed lens, reducing classroom stress, finding the good and praising it, drawing on past experiences, so you can know something about a student, but don't rely on it. Don't come in with a bias against a student. How to avoid embarrassment and exercise compassion, and then work with, not against, parents. And then the bullying module, I just filmed the online learning portion of that today because that is also on the hub. So that includes understanding the issue, identifying and preventing bullying, and that includes our what to do section, learning about bullying in the classroom, and then references and resources. And so what's kind of different about the bullying module and the trauma-informed lens is we think about bullying a little bit differently too, right? So the victims have already experienced trauma at home. Right? They're coming with a background. Then they experience trauma when the bullying occurs. And so do the bystanders. The bystanders experience trauma. And so does the perpetrator, who also probably is coming with a traumatic background. And so that trauma-informed lens is what is informing the bullying module that we have provided as part of the We Teachers program. So how do you use the modules? Well, you can start in your classroom. All of these are designed for a teacher to just read the resources, take it home, do the activities yourself, and implement in your classroom. Hopefully you're going to hear about what it means to take it and scale it up, not just in your school and school-wide, but district-wide here in a moment. And then there's activities in there that are just for you. So even if you never introduce the classroom activities, although we think they're cool, it will help you understand and learn more about trauma, the impacts of trauma in the classroom, and your self-care. And that's where I'd like to end today, because these are 10 evidence-based tools that Mental Health America has used, and we've incorporated them in the modules. So I just want to encourage everybody here today, connect with others, reach out to an old friend, stay positive, journal, go home and write 3 things you're grateful for, get physically active, help others, which of course you're all doing as teachers already. Get enough sleep. I know that one's always the most challenging, but if we can get 8 to 10 hours of sleep, that's great. Create joy and satisfaction. Give hugs. Eat well. Take care of your spirit. Deal better with hard times. And then, of course, get professional help if you need it. So I challenge you in the next day and the next week, pick any one of these 10 tools and take time to take care of yourself because we really need you. So thanks again for letting us be a part of We Teachers.